Hello everyone and welcome to Foreign English class, and today we are going to be talking about the IELTS academic reading section. The IELTS academic reading has 3 passages, 3 texts. You are given 60 minutes for the reading section and you have to answer to 40 questions. These 40 questions are related to 3 reading passages. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips about how to read effectively, some recommendations. Maybe some of you will make use of these recommendations. Okay? What is the point? The point is not to, when you start reading passage, when you go to start your reading section or go to the next passage, do not read it attentively, and don't go to the questions right away. I would recommend you to read it fastly, to scan it, to skim it, and decide what kind of information can be found in every paragraph. Why? Because when you turn to questions, you have to look for the answers to these questions, and you don't know where to look for it, and you start reading sometimes the whole text, sometimes 3 paragraphs, 2 paragraphs. But in fact, if you know what kind of information is given in each paragraph, it's much easier to navigate in your text. Okay, so now I'm going to give an example. Here in this part of the screen you have the text, and I have it on the paper. You can stop the video to read the text, and what we're going to do now is to name the paragraphs, and after that I will do some sample questions. Alright? So let's start. The text is about hydroelectric power. So if you need some time to read the text, just stop the video and read it. Okay, how am I going to get the main idea of each paragraph? Is by reading maybe the first sentence and the last sentence. Or if the paragraph is long enough, the first 2 sentences and the last 2 sentences. That will give me that will give me a hint what kind of information is given in this paragraph. So let's read the first and the last sentence of the first paragraph. Hydroelectric power in America's leading renewable energy resource. And the last paragraph, the turbine is connected to the generator that produces electricity. After passing through the turbine, the water re-enters the river on the downstream side of the dam. So what is the title? What may be the title of paragraph 1? Just how it works. According to the last sentence, this paragraph describes how the hydroelectric power is produced. Another helpful thing about doing this kind of job before going to the questions is that sometimes in questions you have to name, to choose the most appropriate title for each paragraph. So you automatically do this task. Okay? So let's go on to the second paragraph. Hydroelectric plants can convert the kinetic energy within falling water into electricity, and the last sentences are usually regarded as an inexpensive and clean source of energy. Most big hydroelectric projects being planned today are facing a great deal of hostility from environmental groups and local people. So, what do we have in the last paragraph? Well, in the first part we have the beginning of the second paragraph is describing how it works, still describing, and the last sentence, it tells us that advantages and disadvantages of hydroelectric power. So advantages is inexpensive and clean source of electricity. Disadvantages is some problems. The advantages but problems despite these advantages. So, advantages and problems. Alright, so paragraph number 3. The earliest record use of water power was clocks. So we actually can stop here reading. It's history, some historical history. Paragraph 4. The first hydroelectric power plants were much more dependable and efficient, and the last paragraph, the majority of new electric developments were focused on giant mega projects. So the first plants are let's say just plants. It's again the history, but more modern history. Alright? So paragraph number 5. Hydroelectric plants harness energy by passing flowing water through a turbine, and the amount of electricity that is produced is thus proportional to the head product and the flow rate. So it's actually described, this paragraph describes how it works, describes the process. And gives us information that the amount of electricity, the last sentence, the amount of electricity that is produced is thus proportional to the head product and the flow rate. So it's how it works again, but in more details. So the next paragraph. So hydroelectric power stations can normally be separated into two kinds. We can stop reading here. Types of hydroelectric power. Okay, so paragraph number 7. It's on the next page, and you see it in this part of the screen. If you need some time to read it, just stop the video, but we continue. Paragraph 7. Low-head hydroelectric plants means type 1. Paragraph 8. Until only recently, people have believed almost universally. Usually exploit had these types of power station. Until only recently, paragraph 8. Until only recently, people have believed most universally that hydroelectric power was environmentally safe and clean. Okay, and the last paragraph. Nevertheless, recent studies of the larger reservoirs formed behind dams have implied that decomposition, flooded vegetation could give off greenhouse gases equal to those from other electricity sources. So what is this paragraph about? It says that initially hydroelectric plants were considered to be safe, and now we have some problems and threats. Next, the clearest result of hydroelectric dams is the flooding of huge areas of land. Example of the negative impact. Maybe more examples, I'm not sure. And paragraph 10, damming rivers may also change the quantity and quality of water. Damming rivers. So it's about what happens if you build up a dam on a river. And the last paragraph, theoretical global hydroelectric power is approximately 4 times larger than the amount that has been taken advantage of today. And the last paragraph, future increases in the prices of fuel could lead to these places being renovated. We can infer from the first sentence that the hydroelectric plants are now over capacity, and so it's the last paragraph describes potential. So now we have named the paragraph and now we have an idea of what kind of information can be found in each paragraph. So now let's give some sample questions and see how it works. Alright? Alright, here are some sample questions on the written passage, and now I'm going to demonstrate how we are going to answer them using our content we have made up in the previous part of the video. Okay, let's get started. In this task, we are to read the sentence and decide if it's true according to the text, false, or the information related to this statement is not given in the text. Okay? So let's start. Canada uses the most hydroelectric power in the world today. Our content we have made up before doesn't help us to find this kind of information, but this method is not universal, but it can help in certain times. Let's try to look information on this in the text. Particularly in paragraph 1, you can clearly see the word Canada, which is written in capital letter. Let's read. Hydroelectric power in Canada is plentiful and provides 60% of their electrical requirements. It says that the 60% of total electric power produced in Canada is produced on hydroelectric power plants. It doesn't say anything about the rank of Canada in the list of hydroelectric power users. Let's look if the text says anything, tells us anything about a particular country which uses the most hydroelectric power in the world today. We have 6%, we have 6% and 15%, but here in this paragraph we have no information, we have no country that is according to the text uses the most hydroelectric power in the world today. So, for example, if we had a sentence that the United States use the most hydroelectric power in the world today, then this sentence will be false. But since there is no information about which country uses the most hydroelectric power in the world, this sentence, information on this sentence is not given in the text. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. An early use of hydroelectric power was in the timber industry. An early use means that we have to look for the information on this sentence in paragraph 3 or paragraph 4. History or the first plants, since we have the first early use. Okay, let's look. The earliest record use. Okay, the paragraph 3, sentence number 2. Since then, people have used falling water to supply power for grain and sawmills as well as a host for other uses. It says grain and sawmills, which sawmills means that it was used to process timber. Then this statement is true. Okay? The next question. The first hydroelectric power stations were more effective than those using competing energy sources. The first hydraulic power, so probably it's in paragraph 4. Let's try to look for the information in paragraph 4. Okay, the very first sentence, the first hydroelectric power plants were much more dependable and efficient. Efficient means more effective. Again, this is true. The next question. People have been drowned by the flooding of their traditional territory when reservoirs are created. People were drowned. So probably it's describing kind of problem with hydroelectric powers. Problems, so probably paragraph number 8. Let's look for the information in paragraph number 8. Okay, the clearest result of hydroelectric dams is the flooding of huge areas of land. The reservoirs built can be exceptionally big, and they have often flooded the lands of indigenous peoples and destroyed their way of life. It doesn't say anything about drowned people. Okay, so this information is not given. Actually, we found information in paragraph number 9, example of the negative impact. Okay, And the last question. Nowadays, agriculture below hydroelectric dams is not affected by the change in water flow. Since it includes dams, we probably will find this information in paragraph 10. Let's try. Okay, let's read the paragraph. Damming rivers may also change the quantity and quality of water in the rivers below the dams. Okay, it really changes, as well as stopping fish migrating upstream to spawn. In addition, silt, usually taken downstream to the lower parts of a river, is caught by a dam, and so the river downstream loses the slit that should fertilize the river's floodplains during high water periods. It's about agriculture. The key word here is fertilize. The slit that should fertilize is washed away or is kept by the dam, so which actually in turn affects agriculture in the region. So this statement is true. That's an example of how deciding on the paragraph content beforehand may help you answer some questions. But of course, as you noticed in this video, sometimes is not clear. Sometimes the title of the paragraph is not. Doesn't let us decide which kind of information or in which paragraph we can find this one or another statements or kind of information. It's not universal, but it's one of the ways to do the reading task. Okay, so I have just presented your some ideas, some general ideas about the IELTS reading, academic reading section, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you.